All right, hello and welcome. This is the June Budget Boost Power Hour. It is a time for our community to come together. I'm going to cover a few things that sometimes get forgotten in our June budgets and then have some time that you can work on your budget. So before we get started, if we haven't had a chance to meet yet, I just want to say hello. My name's Julianne Colbrand. A lot of people call me Jules the Budget Nerd. I have been married for almost 17 years now. I'm a later in life mom. I'm also a certified financial coach, podcaster. I host the Debt Rebel podcast, and I'm an economist. I got my degree in economics. I love talking about money, and I also love talking about Jesus. But one of the big things that I always want to make sure that people know is even though I have a degree in economics, I was raised to live within my means. My husband and I still got into over $107,000 in consumer debt, and it took us 6 years to pay that off. Lots and lots of conversations, but just because we know things, putting them into action isn't always easy. And so when I share that with you, it's because I know what it feels like. I also know what that feels like when you're like, I should know better, but I can't do better. And so know that I hear you, I see you, I am you, and it does get better having support available. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, about helping families stop the paycheck to paycheck cycle, because it has changed the way our family gets to do life. And so that's why I'm here. That's why I do this every single month within our Alliance community, to just come together and say, hey, let's talk about it. Our culture doesn't encourage the conversation to talk about money, and I think that that's a roadblock that's holding us all back. And so we don't necessarily do screen shares of what our budgets look like, but if that's something that would be helpful for you, I am available for that. I have sample budgets that I have put together to do kind of just a practice behind the scenes, what it looks like within the budgeting app that I love to use, which is EveryDollar. But I know some people love spreadsheets, so it doesn't have to look a certain way. It has to work, and it has to work for you. So just because I teach one way doesn't mean that that's the only way. I have found that that works best for me, and so I teach that, but there are so many other ways. I know some people love spreadsheets. I like spreadsheets. I found it a little bit more challenging for myself to be consistent with that. And so now that I have something that is consistent and a system that works, that's what I love to teach. So spending the least amount of time but having the most success with your budget is what I love to share. So that's a little bit about me. And as we jump into this Budget Boost Power Hour, are making our plan for June. And what that looks like for our family. What matters most to us? How do we want to align our spending with our goals? And so June is a huge transition season. School is ending. There's lots of celebrations. There's lots of things happening. The weather gets better. So it can be a real budget buster. If we don't think ahead and we don't plan ahead. And I'm not saying that there isn't room for impulse and spontaneity, because life is about having fun and doing those things, but let's figure out which of those things you want to invest in this season and make sure that those line up with your big overall goals. So a couple of things to keep in mind as far as celebrations go in June. Father's Day is on the calendar, end of the year school celebrations, so teacher gifts and things like that, if your kids aren't already out of school. So I know some schools get out in May, so that was in this last month's budget for you, but if June is the time where your family wraps up the school year, then this would be something to keep in mind. Graduation costs, so whether your child's graduating or you have someone close to you that's graduating, there's going to be parties and celebrations and things like that. So keeping that in mind. Weddings and anniversaries. So I know our family is going to be going to a wedding in a few weeks, and so those are things to keep in mind. If you have to travel for those types of things, additional gifts, that kind of stuff. So keep those in mind. And also, what are your kids going to be doing during the summer? What does their summer plan look like? So sometimes that might be additional childcare, maybe some day camps, some summer programs. I know that for our family, we have signed our daughter up for some theater camps, some gymnastics and dance camps, some things like that, so that it gives me a little bit of a break. I can do some focused work during that time, but we've been able to factor that into our budget, and so it's taken care of, and we don't have to stress about when those things come up, when those costs come up. The other one is just ongoing health expenses, co-pays for doctor visits. If there's maybe you do your family's physicals in the summertime, especially if they play fall sports, this is a good time to get those things taken care of and get those doctor visits in when their schedule is a little bit more flexible as far as not having to miss school. And then, of course, there's just the fun of summer. So whether that's outings to the park, the beach, maybe there's, the fair, those kinds of things. I talk about snacks a lot because our family, we have snack bags in every vehicle. We have emergency snacks. So if we run out of snacks, we're like DEFCON 5. It's just how we've always been, and so we just need to make sure that we have those on hand. So we've already started stocking up on summer snacks for play dates and things like that. So just keeping those things in mind, because you know what, we can't skip meals. We can't. That's just not a good thing for our family. So I talk about snacks a lot because it keeps us from impulse driving through the drive-through and, running into the convenience store really quick to just grab a snack that ends up derailing our fun money. So when we could be doing it, we could be spending that money on something else that we enjoy as a family. So one place that I absolutely love to go to for some summer activities is macaronikid.com. It's a nationwide blog. If you have, maybe you're traveling and you need some ideas on things to do this summer, is go to that website and plug in the zip code for where you're traveling to or your home zip code and see what's happening in your area. I know for us, it is amazing. All of the opportunities are available. Most of them are free. Some of them are just really low cost. Some museums offer, free or super reduced experiences. The movie theaters, all kinds of things that are happening during the summer. So there's no shortage of things that are happening. It just takes us a little bit of time. So maybe that's something you can put on your calendar also, outside of our budgeting time, is just maybe take an hour and look at what you want to do for your summer. I know we have a separate calendar of just ideas and things that are coming up that if we need something to do that day, we know what's happening and then we can just go for it, or we stay home and do something different. So another thing to think about is we're going to have some increased utility bills from cooling because the warmer weather is coming. So, and maybe you're going to be home more often. So those things to take into account. Car maintenance, summer is just a busier time. We're usually put more miles on our car. So think about those kinds of things. Home maintenance, yard care, that kind of stuff. And then warmer weather clothing for your family. So things to think about. The podcast is full of ideas on these types of things to come up with to actually stretch your dollar a little bit further, whether it's consignment for clothes or, like this one here, asking for going to your utility companies and seeing if they have financial assistance available. That's been a really good one because that helps decrease the overall amount that you're paying every single month and can help you get some little breathing room in your budget. Another thing is, this is one of my favorites. You can use ChatGPT, Supercook app, creating a meal plan based on what you have on hand, and then just pick the busiest time. So this is really helpful for us, especially in the summertime when we might have a little bit more time to cook, but don't always want to. And so we can put together some freezer meals or some quick, easy things based on what we have on hand. And so, like I said, we don't want to skip meals, but this is a really easy way to create some margin in your budget and not overspend. So you're eating the things that you already have on hand. So like I said, the podcast is a great resource, but this is kind of our time now to just get to work on our budget. And I'm available in the chat. I know some people are going to be listening to the recording of this. So if you have questions, you can always send me a DM on Instagram and I will reply that way. Or if you're in the Alliance community, then you can drop your questions there and I would be happy to answer those. But hopefully these, and I'll put these slides in the recording for this so that you have that available for review for this summer and what your June spending plan looks like. So I'm going to mute myself and get to work on mine. But if you have questions, please let me know. All right, I want to remind you when we're going through creating our plan for this coming month is just looking back at the last month and see how that went. And one question that came in was, what do I do when the budget gets blown again? So this is a really great question for multiple reasons. One, just remind yourself, okay, we're all human. This is not perfect. I have never, in all of the time that I have been creating budgets for our household, have had a perfect budget. So hopefully that is encouraging to you. There's no perfect way to do this, but knowing, looking back and going, okay, what didn't work? And making some adjustments, because for us, I have seen in the past, like, okay, we got way off track. And maybe it's because we set an amount that was way too low or wasn't manageable for us. I know one area that we've tried to really in the past, like, get down really low is our gas for our car. So that one, we don't really have control over gas prices, but we do have control over how often we're driving and that kind of stuff. So some of that can be controlled and then others can't. And when you need to get to doctor's appointments or you need to get to work, you have to put gas in your car. And so that is one that we now tend to overestimate on, so that when we're a little bit lower, everything is fine. And so know that every single time you're creating a new budget or you're reviewing what has worked in the past or what hasn't worked, know that you can't change the past and we want to control the controllable. So think about, if your budget, maybe there's a few areas that are like, okay, this isn't working. Is it because you've overestimated? Is it because you've underestimated? Is it because, man, it was just a really stressful month and we ate takeout a little bit more often? Or is it because there is a mismatch in what you and your spouse are, what your goals are? So have you underestimated your fund money and you spend it all too quickly? And then you realize, you know what, this isn't enough, or maybe this is too much, those kinds of things. And so look at the thing that caused you to go outside of what you thought you would be spending in that area, and then make some adjustments. So maybe that means that if you need to be spending more money on gas because you're going to be doing a training that's going to be out of your normal transportation area, then you need to overestimate in that area. Because the worst case is you spend or you allocate a little bit more and you don't spend that, and then you can use that for either another area, or you can continue to add to that for future trips that are maybe going to cause you to spend a little bit more in that transportation or your gas area. So hopefully that helps the person that asked. But one, just give yourself grace, because there's no budget that's going to be perfect, and every single month it's going to be different. So even though I made last month's budget, you know what, we went off track too a little bit, but we still are keeping true to our goals and what we have for our family and where we're going, and we're just going to adjust this month. So hopefully that helps. Okay, here's another great question. Um, how do I budget when everything feels like a need? Thinking about what our actual needs are. So, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you remember that from a Psych 101 or in college or in high school, we talk about our basic needs of food, water, shelter, and love. And making sure that we have a roof over our head and we have food in our belly and people in our lives, and making sure those things are taken care of. Those are the needs. And also, when it comes to our budget, I would add in there like your transportation to and from work, whatever that looks like. So making sure that your real needs are making sure that you have a roof over your head and your family. So making sure your rent is paid or your mortgage and all your utilities are paid. And then making sure that you have food to eat. And that's why I love that Supercook app, or you can use ChatGPT. If you have food on hand in your cabinets or in your pantry and in your refrigerator right now, you can make something. You just plug that into ChatGPT or Supercook, and it will give you recipes to make right now. And so you can keep your family fed, and also is making sure that your transportation to and from work is covered. So if you have car payments, make sure that that is paid. Also, your insurance. And if you work from home, internet bill, make sure that that's covered, those types of things. And then everything from there, you can put into a prioritized category or prioritized list of things that are of also of needs for your family. And so making sure like medical needs are taken care of, those types of things. And then so focus for this month, for this next month of June, is what is most important to you this next month. If it is making sure that you get your savings account up a little bit so that you don't have to opt for your credit card this summer, then maybe it is deciding, okay, do I really need to have some of these extra things, and just going back and look at your last month's bank statement or credit card statement and see, are there things that I can cut out of that? And then putting those into your budget if they aren't things that you want to or put on pause for a little while so that you can get some breathing room. So hopefully that helps answer that question. Where do you start when everything feels like a need? Because you want to make sure that those basic needs are taken care of, and that's that survival mode budget. And then from there, create that prioritized list based on what matters for you and your family, because every family is going to be different. For us in this coming season, it's going to be adventures and time together. And so we have a list of things that we're going to be doing. And so I've looked at that and gone, okay, these are the things that are going to cost money, and these are things that are going to cost time, and making sure that I allocate both of those into our schedule but also into our budget. So I hope that helps. We'll stay on here for a few more minutes. I've been scrolling through the slides, so if that's helpful for you, and you pop your head up and look, or switch screens to go over what these June expenses could be, they should be on your screen. So. Just a reminder too, if you haven't had a chance to go through the Debt Rebel Starter Kit, there is some other ways to create some financial margin, but it's going to walk you through that survival mode budget and how to set that up, how to go through and find those things that maybe are needs versus wants. If you're in the Alliance community, you already have access to that. If you aren't, this is an opportunity for you to join us and you get access to that. Or if now's not the right time for you for that and you still want to create that first budget, the Debt Rebel Starter Kit is available for purchase on my website at julesthebudgetnerd.com. But that's going to give you the step-by-step, the tips, but also places to look for the more of those margin makers. So not just the meal planning things, but ways to accomplish your goals for less and free up some money so that you can build that savings account, so that you can pay down that debt, that you can pay for your kids' sports this summer or those camps and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of ideas in there. So I'd love to hear which ones you give a try and how they work for you, but wanted to point out that resource for you as well. And also the podcast that's a great place to get some on-the-go learning. There's new episodes every Tuesday, and you can get that wherever you get your podcasts or at debtrebelpodcast.com. That's DEBT, rebelpodcast.com. If you are watching the replay of this and you aren't part of the Alliance coaching membership, but this is a part of, we do monthly office hours. We do have this accountability time where we come together and we plan our budgets out. Those things are recorded, so if it doesn't align with your schedule, you're able to submit questions ahead of time and listen to those replays later on. So if it doesn't work with your schedule and you need to participate a little bit later, that is available. We also have the online community, the chat boards for that. There's weekly challenges that we participate in. They're just little quick ways to get your finances aligned with what matters most to you. And then we do regular trainings in there as well on all types of things. And so one of the big ones that's going to be coming up is home ownership. So whether you own a home or you plan to own a home, that is a very big expense. And it can make or break you financially. And so in my own personal story, that was almost a deal breaker for my husband and I when we bought our house and couldn't make our first mortgage payment. And so I've learned a lot of things along the way. So I'm passing along that info to you, and we're going to be launching a big part of that this fall. And so I just want to give you a heads up if you're not part of that coaching membership. Right now it's $27 and that locks you in at that price, but that will be increasing in the fall. But I just wanted to give you an opportunity. You're more than welcome to join us on a regular basis, access to all of that so that you can get on-demand trainings and replays of any of the office hours and these budgeting times, so you can have the accountability on your schedule, but also you get access to myself. And so this is a really affordable thing. It's something that I am really passionate about, is making sure that there's sound advice available and guidance and support. But this is about helping you and your family stop living paycheck to paycheck and create some margin so that you can do the things in your life that you want to do, create the memories you want to with your children and with your family, and do the things that you want to do. So that's what life's about. It's meant to be lived. And so this is my way. This is a resource that's available for you. So I would love it if you would join us. And if you have more questions, things that I wasn't able to answer today, you can, if you're in the Alliance, you can drop that in the community chat, or you can find me on Instagram at Jules the Budget Nerd. I would absolutely love to help you. And so we're going to wrap up today. But if there's something that you're like, you know what, I need some more information about that, my website, julesthebudgetnerd.com, or you can reach out to me and I will help point you in the right direction. All right, we'll talk soon. Thanks for joining us.